For years, we've all been told that the security behind big crypto networks, like Ethereum, is basically an ironclad fortress built on math and economic incentives. But what if the very foundation of that fortress has a critical, hidden flaw? Okay, let's dive right into this, because we're going to explore what deterrence really means in our digital age.
So this right here is basically the one-sentence philosophy behind proof of stake, in the system that's securing hundreds of billions of dollars in assets. The whole idea is pretty simple. If you want to help secure the network, you have to lock up or stake your own money. If you break the rules, well, the protocol just automatically destroys your stake. It's security through the threat of financial pain, plain and simple.
You see, as the value locked up in these networks has just exploded, a really terrifying gap has opened up. A gap between the reward an attacker could get and the penalty they'd actually face. And this brings up a huge question. What happens if the punishment just isn't a scary enough deterrent anymore?
To really get our heads around this crisis, we've got to look beyond crypto for a second. We need to look at classic military strategy, where the stakes are literally life and death. The very same principles that kept the Cold War from turning hot? Yeah, those are the exact same ones being tested on the blockchain right now.
Now, the main weapon in the proof-of-stake arsenal is called slashing. If a validator, think of them as one of the network's guardians, tries to cheat the system, maybe by approving a totally fake transaction, the network's code instantly sees the crime and just burns their staked collateral. Poof! It's the system's death penalty.
And this is where it connects right back to Cold War nuclear strategy. For any threat to actually work, you need these three things. First, capability. You've got to have the weapons. Second, credibility. Your opponent has to truly believe you'll use them. And third, communication. They need to know exactly what's going to happen if they cross that line. Okay, so in typical cyber warfare, deterrence often fails because of what's called the attribution problem. It's just really hard to prove who to punish. But crypto solves this brilliantly. Every single action is cryptographically signed. If someone cheats, their signature is the smoking gun. There's no doubt, no jury, just automated punishment. The credibility is, well, it's perfect. So with a superpower like that, what could possibly be the problem?
Well, the problem, as it turns out, is a simple and kind of terrifying imbalance of scale. And fair warning, the numbers we're about to look at they're very, very big.
All right, first things first, let's define the prize. We'll call it the profit from corruption, or PFC. This is everything an attacker could possibly steal if they actually managed to break the network's rules. And we're not just talking about the network's own coin here. We're talking about all the assets, the DeFi loans, the stablecoins, the whole shebang built on top of it. And that prize, it's just staggering. The Ethereum network is securing around $410 billion in total value locked. That right there is the potential loot for one successful heist.
Okay, now let's look at the flip side, the penalty. This is the cost of corruption, or COC. It's the amount of staked capital an attacker would have to corrupt to pull off their attack. For a network like Ethereum, to really break its safety, you need to get control of about 1/3 of all the staked assets. And what's that cost? It's around $11 billion. Now that sounds like a ton of money, and it is, but let's put it into perspective.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have a potential prize of $410 billion, and on the other, a penalty of just $11 billion. The profit from a successful attack is nearly 40 times greater than the cost. If you're looking at this from a purely rational economic point of view, the network is actually insecure. So, and this is the crucial part, an attacker doesn't even need to own that $11 billion in stake. They can just rent it. This is what's known as a bribing attack. An attacker can go to the validators and make them an offer they can't refuse. Hey, help me attack the network. I will pay you more than the total value of your stake. A purely rational validator would actually accept that deal. Sure, they lose their stake to slashing, but they walk away with a nice, tidy profit from the bribe.
And this whole scenario just exposes two massive failures in the current slashing model. First, when a validator's stake gets slashed, that money is just destroyed. It's burned. The victims of the attack, the people whose funds were actually stolen, they get absolutely nothing back. And second, because it only punishes the attacker without making the victim whole, it creates this broken deterrence loop. It's all penalty with zero protection.
So how in the world do we fix this? Well, it's going to take a pretty radical shift in how we think about it. We have to move from a system that's all about punishment to one that's based on insurance.
Here's the change in a nutshell. The old way, it just burns the attacker's money. The new way, it repurposes it. Instead of just destroying those slashed funds, the protocol uses them to pay back the victims, to make them whole again. The validator's stake becomes less of a penalty bond and a lot more like an insurance policy.
This leads us to a brand new, much higher standard called strong cryptoeconomic safety. The goal is no longer just about making attacks unprofitable. No, the goal now is to build a system where no honest user ever loses money, period. It's a full-on guarantee, and it's underwritten by the staked assets of the entire network.
As you can see in this table, this new model, which is being called stick-sure, basically improves the system across the board. The objective shifts from just punishing the attacker to actually protecting the victim. The security isn't fixed anymore. It becomes dynamic, scaling up as more value is being moved around. And the economic outcome is restitutive, meaning it restores, instead of just being deflationary.
This new way of thinking about security is absolutely critical, especially as we're heading into the era of restaking, which is this powerful but pretty complex new frontier in crypto. So what is restaking? It's the idea of using the same staked capital, that same security deposit, to secure a whole bunch of different applications all at the same time. Think about it like a security guard using their reputation to guard an entire shopping mall, not just one single store. It's incredibly efficient. But of course, it comes with a major trade-off. The good news is that this pooled security makes it way more expensive to attack smaller protocols. The risk, though, is that it creates the potential for a domino effect. A failure in one system could cascade and threaten the security of all the others that are sharing that same stake. So, managing this kind of risk demands a system that puts victim protection first. And all of this brings us back to a really fundamental question. In a world of decentralized, code-driven finance, what does it truly mean to trust the system?
For the longest time, we all believed it was about punishment. We thought that if we just made the penalty for cheating high enough, no rational person would ever even try. We put all our energy into hurting the attacker.
But what we're realizing now is that's only half of the equation. True, lasting security, real deterrence, isn't just about punishing the bad actor. It's about making sure the honest participants are always protected, that they're made whole, and that they can trust the system not just to be punitive, but to be restorative.
You know, this shift from punishment to protection isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a philosophical one. It suggests that the foundation of our future digital economy won't just be built on clever code, but on actual guarantees. So the ultimate question we're left with is this: is the future of digital trust, in fact, insured?